Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Hello, everyone. Super happy to have everyone joining us this morning, this evening, and this afternoon. Here we have amazing people, and we're here to talk about one thing, but to explore on a broader reach the near ecosystem. So right now, we're going to discuss about how intent meets intelligence, where we're going to explore how Calyx, ConsumerFi, and Sovereign AI are redefining ownership in this AI era. So, as some of you may know, and people who've been living under a rock, today is ConsumerFi sale. It just went live on Calyx, and the soft cap has been reached in less than 2 hours, which is an amazing achievement for the ecosystem itself, for Calyx. And we're looking forward for having more people participating in this sale. So firstly, I'm going to let everyone introduce themselves. Maybe Sal from Sovereign AI, if you want to introduce yourself, what Sovereign AI is doing, and what's your role in the organization, please.
Yeah, happy to do that. And thank you for having me on, Charlie. Congrats to the ConsumerFi team. Huge success thus far and a lot more to come, I know. So on my side, Sal Trinello, I'm the CEO of Sovereign, which is building the first treasury company focused on near, with a specific mandate to deliver infrastructure that powers both intents as well as near AI and DCML. We've held the view for a very long time that near is the most exciting layer one technology in the market and have the opportunity now to be a platform that communicates that message to traditional capital markets investors. So my background is in venture capital. I have the privilege of being an investor in my funds behind John, David, and Hugo and the team. I've followed their progress for a long time, and today is a huge milestone for them. So very, very excited. Prior to the buy side, I ran KPMG's crypto business on the advisory side in the US and then globally. So super excited to be here with you guys. And look forward to the conversation.
That's amazing. Maybe John and David, you can go ahead and tell us more a bit of what is ConsumerFi and your role over there, and maybe highlight a bit more that you guys have real users in this AI world, infrastructure world. You guys have real users, which is amazing, and you don't have a small numbers of users. So please go ahead.
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Charlie. And yeah, it's great to share a stage with Sal. He's been a big part of our journey. So I'm John. I'm one of the core contributors at ConsumerFi Protocol, also the co-founder of Playember. I mean, our journey on building ConsumerFi actually started a few years ago, and our goal was actually kind of simple, right? My background's always been in building and scaling consumer apps, building ad technology, and just see this huge imbalance between how consumers are disproportionately rewarded for what we call like your capital. So your capital can be money, obviously, in your wallet, in your bank account. It can be your skill or expertise, and it can also be your time. But it's all got value. So when we started out, we had a sort of existing gaming company, kind of casual games where that audience aren't really gamers. It's kind of just consumers, right? That do all the things that consumers do, and gaming is just part of a way of passing the time. They're not hardcore gamers. So we looked at that and we saw a huge imbalance about how they're heavily monetized for their time, right? It's mobile gaming ad spend's about a $10 billion industry. Sure, you get to play a fun game, but I know Web3 hates ads, but consumers are fine with ads, but you don't get anything back. So our thesis was real simple. Let's take kind of proven Web2 behaviors and put them on crypto rails. Reward players in crypto for their time and value that they generate. So the starting point was taking the existing games that we had, because we had real users. They're coming from TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. We had all of the sort of data benchmarks, playtime, retention, acquisition costs. So then let's use crypto rails and incentives to build a sort of gamified reward system, and let's see if we can get that working. And what we were trying to figure out was, well, there's a lot of variables, but what was that crypto reward they were most interested in that retail wanted? Was it Bitcoin? Is it Solana, ETH, NEAR, meme coins? What were all the different kind of game mechanics and genres with the sort of the best fit? different ad creatives we were running, navigating our way through different sort of legislation around what we could say, what we couldn't say around crypto. Do we hide crypto? Do we not hide crypto? And in summary, what we learned was this. Well, retail are very interested in crypto. They're very interested in Bitcoin and USDC. And that they wanted the same opportunity to earn that Bitcoin as everyone that's kind of already here in crypto. You want to we're here to we're here to make money, we're here to earn. And that they wanted to do more than just play games to earn. They were completing like data tasks, surveys, quests. I mean, all very normal things that people do in Web 2 have done for years for sort of cash rewards, except now they're doing it for crypto. And then along the way, of course, we were building the kind of content layer, but we also had to figure out, on top of the existing technology we had for our consumer apps, we had to think about building an additional layer on top to service the blockchain component that powers this. So we had to look at like multi-chain account management systems, a multi-chain protocol, loyalty and engagement systems, Web3 SDKs, etc. So we have the kind of content layer, and then we have the infrastructure beneath it. And the real light bulb moment to bring this all together was kind of back to the start. Our audience in Web 2 were never real sort of gamers. They're kind of consumers, retail users. But the real design change in our ecosystem was that these retail users, they're just like Web3. They're here and they want to earn and save crypto. It just so happens initially they were doing this via games. And this fundamentally changed everything for us, how we design the product, how we market the product, and where we go next, because our audience are financially literate. They want to earn. They want to be rewarded for their skill and expertise. While crypto are sort of flexing their P&Ls, our audience are on TikTok, YouTube, flexing their experience score, their FICO score, the amount they have saved in their bank account. So to wrap this all up together, that's really how we got to this sort of next chapter of our journey. On the one hand, at application layer, we've kind of proven this concept that Web 2, they want to earn crypto. We now have 30% of our 900,000 retail customers saving crypto in the game. We'll come onto this later on, but it's heavily now influencing the sort of apps that we're now launching to cater for this audience that want to earn and save crypto. And at a protocol layer that I'll let David deconstruct and how this intersects with Near's technology, ConsumerFi protocol, the easiest way to understand that is all of those things that I said that we had to build on the infrastructure layer. We've now productized that as a protocol to not only power the applications that we're building, but to welcome in other apps, agents, platforms that are also interested in a very large, living, and in simplest term, database of rich consumer intelligence to provide more relevant, what we call personal context to the experiences that they're building. So I hope that kind of sets the tone for kind of where we are now. I just wanted to give you a glimpse into sort of the background and everything that we've been on over the past 3-4 years, because it really has been a journey. But I mean, Sal knows this about us. We're a very data-led company, right? We haven't got here through not trying lots of things, but we're here because we've been zeroed in on this now 900,000 retail cohort of users on listening and analyzing everything that they want to do. And that's not going to stop, but we're very, very excited for what's coming next.
That's super exciting. And maybe I'll come to Declan after, but maybe I can go straight in with David. Why Near? How did it, maybe on a technical perspective, how did Near Stack help you achieve what you're trying to do, which is simplify the overall experience while keeping privacy for users?
Absolutely. I would say kind of Near's core ethos is a user-owned web, right? A user-owned AI, and that is very aligned with what ConsumerFi is doing, but also the technologies required to make that possible directly play into the ConsumerFi protocol. So there are 3 layers. Layer 1 is ownership. Layer 2 is intelligence. Layer 3 is execution. So ownership is your data, and we're providing kind of a vault for you to provide any of the information that you have online and build your digital DNA. So kind of taking like all of the scattered data points that you have across your on-chain activity, your social media presence, your web activity, and even, you can go further than that, answer personalized questions, but you're taking all of these scattered data points and turning them into your digital DNA. But that is data, and that's your consumer graph that you own and control. For that data to start to do things, you need that intelligence element. And so that's where Near AI comes into play. So with Near AI, it's taking your consumer graph and interfacing with it. The consumer graph is at a technical level, a knowledge graph. And so now you have Near AI interfacing with that knowledge graph and starting to build relationships in between your data. And if we were to just use, some other frontier model, there would be no more ownership. That data that we want to ensure the consumers continue to own would then be owned by some other centralized entity. And so, of course, Near AI is vital in that component. But for that data to then be able to do things, for you to execute on that data, you've essentially turned your data into a recommendation engine that you can use for personalized context when you're interfacing with different AI experiences, or if you want to start automating various on-chain strategies like different DeFi strategies, things of that nature. Well, that's where you need the execution, and Near Intent facilitates that. It's not just execution on Near, it's not just execution on chain A, B, or C, it's execution broadly and globally at a very fast and cheap pace. And so really all of the technologies that Near has built to facilitate a user-owned web, we've been able to build on top of for consumers to deliver the ConsumerFi protocol.
That's amazing. So it means more users, more volume, more use cases for Near Intents. So this is fantastic. So you've just explained how you've been leveraging Near technology. Maybe I can now go to Declan, our VP of Growth at Calyx and Aurora. We've been working closely on Near Intent from the beginning. And Declan, can you help everyone understand how this evolving user experience is helping project launch on Calyx?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, hello everyone. I think as Charlie said, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Yeah, I mean, just as a bit of a step back, into what Near Intent is and what it does, right? For those of you that kind of listen to the Alpha Leaks, you've probably heard me talk about this before. But essentially, Near Intent is removing the complexity of multi-chain transactions, right? It lets users, or indeed AI agents, state what they want to do, whilst the network handles everything else. So the bridging, the settlement, all of it's done behind the scenes. Now, what this does for a project like ConsumerFi is it provides a genuinely chain-agnostic user experience. One interface, one signature, and actions that can settle anywhere that liquidity exists. And that's really kind of at the heart of what we're doing at Calyx, because up until now, projects have had to navigate a pretty wide range of launch pads, each with their own motives, each with their own policies and processes and dates and requirements and wallet restrictions and chain restrictions. Whereas with Calyx, we don't care. What we want to provide is a seamless user experience, whereby a user can use any wallet that matters to them with any token that matters to them. And I don't mean a wrapped token that they need to then bridge and then deposit, and then buy with, but literally just to be able to connect their wallet, choose a token from the list, regardless of what network it's on, and execute. And what this provides for projects, like ConsumerFi, and more importantly for the users that are interested in investing in solid projects like this, is a seamless journey that lets them do what the administrative piece really quickly and focus just on the project itself. And I think this is something that has been very much needed within the industry for a long time. And I think it's something we're starting to see, not just with launchpads, but across payments, across communications, and even in the Web2 space, we're seeing this simplification and super app experience.
That's great. And as you all see, people on this call, we are all near intent maximalist. And what we want to do right now is we want to onboard more people. So for people that are watching this stream right now, we're going to drop some near intent gift link in the comments, either on YouTube, on Twitter, where you can claim your free jumbo. So be sure to follow what's going to happen in the coming minutes, hour or so, and you'll be able to join and try Near Intent for some of you for the first time, and join also Near ecosystem for the first time and see how amazing it is, how the technology is great and easy to use. Maybe now I can go to you, Sal. You've been public about the dual mandate that you've been working on, which is both managing the near-based treasury, but also accelerating growth of AI application built on the protocol. How does that connect with project like ConsumerFi?
Yeah, it's a great question, and it actually connects on both sides of the mandate. So in the first order on kind of the treasury management piece and the balance sheet utilization, we were publicly disclosing that next week will be the beginning point of our journey to enter near mainnet on-chain from a liquidity provisioning perspective, supporting a number of different LSTs, but also native DeFi primitives. And obviously, ConsumerFi will be one of those projects as we scale forward. It will also extend across all key ecosystem projects that meet the diligence requirements that we have from a third-party security and compliance point of view. But we will certainly be utilizing our balance sheet to bootstrap liquidity behind key ecosystem projects, with a special focus not just on those diligence requirements, but also on projects that have real kind of centricity to customers and understanding consumer behaviors. And I really do think John and Hugo and David have been at the forefront of doing that alongside other leaders in the ecosystem, but with a special focus here. So that's kind of piece one. Piece two is as it relates to the infrastructure that we'll deliver, which traverses both near intents and the underlying chain signatures primitives, where we will deploy an MPC signing node and ultimately join as a quorum signer as the quorums expand behind chain sigs. And then also in the context of near AI, where we are in process right now to stand up and deliver infrastructure that will support near AI and DCML specifically, and expand and decentralize the infrastructure providers behind that capability. So across both pieces of the mandates, this is kind of the perfect intersection of what we'll do. And we're quite excited for next week to turn over and us to get to market on this.
Thank you so much. You've just clarified a lot of questions I've been seeing in the Near Legion chat and different Near community. This is great. As you mentioned, you're talking about users. David or John, ConsumerFi has been citing 150 million app downloads, 900,000 monthly active users. What does it mean for a project like you to have this number of users, and what does it mean for ConsumerFi?
Yeah, so I think that the context I gave you is important, because we've worked with a lot of sort of partners on this journey, and we've come across basically a lot of empty technology and frameworks that, for these things to be relevant, everyone talks about data. Well, where do you get like meaningful first party data from? You get it from rich consumer applications, and ideally first party data comes from your own SDK in there. So for us, I always see comments about, oh, it's easy to buy downloads. Well, yeah, it is. If you want to burn money, anyone can buy downloads. That's not difficult. The hard part is the stuff that we actually built. It's then like retaining those users and getting them to do stuff in an ecosystem and be able to move them around ecosystems and retain them. So for us, those 900,000 users, even before they come to the Web3 component, you've got ads that are on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook. They then need to click on their ads. They need to go to the App Store or Google Play Store. They now need to download the application and install the game. And at that point, we use a company called AppsFlyer. They're $1 billion Web2 company that are just about to be bought by private equity. On our side, what we then first do is verify that those humans downloading those applications are real and there's no fraud at that level, because we get charged for that by the ad network, right? And this all happens even before we get to the Web3 component, right? Versus if you think a lot of stuff in Web3, you don't have to jump through any of those hoops initially, right? So a lot of that 900K is scaled up, right? In the fastest growing part of our business, which has been these sort of retail DeFi based games. That all needs to happen even before they get to the point of the game where they start earning Bitcoin and then kind of connecting a wallet to that. And look, that's our background, right? So when we looked at what we think a protocol like ours needs to be successful, you need rich first-party data sets. So that's why actually these users are important, because the types of data that we can pull for them of like what they're doing in game, because yes, it's a game, but there's lots of other things they're doing in that environment that is very useful to us in terms of, you know, ads you watch, ads you don't watch. You know, there's location data, there's all of the sort of Quest survey-based data that they're doing in there as well. So we see that app layer is vitally important, because that's the thing that is really fueling the protocol, in addition to all of the Web3 users that have been invited in through the front end to the protocol, cfi.app. And we can talk about that a little bit later. But yeah, for us, kind of distribution is key. And what we're focused on now is, well, where else can we apply this technology and gamified DeFi system to, right? We have it running in a sort of casual gaming environment. What other like consumer app verticals might now the same technology stack work in? So that's what you're going to see from us next. Our first consumer finance DeFi app that's going to be launching, that takes everything we've kind of proven and validated to the scale of 900,000 users. But for me, it's not the users. People get fixated on users. It's more the things I find interesting is you've got 30% of those users now saving. That's very interesting to me as a behavior. They're not just earning crypto, they're now saving. And they're the ones that have come to us and said, hey, this is really cool. Is there a way we can basically do this without playing a game, right? Like, where do we go to save our crypto? So that's why I like this new product specifically, because it's come from a rather large user base that are earning and saving crypto and have asked us for a new product. So we've effectively built the beta for them. So in summary, for us, yeah, distribution is really important. We're very focused on net new users, but it doesn't necessarily mean just because we're going after TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, that they're any less valuable than people already in crypto, right? I hear this thing a lot about, well, when are retail coming? Well, for us, retail are here, and they've been here for the past 3-4 years. We're just fishing in a rather large pond where they are, speaking to them and giving them products on, you know, in a way that they are very comfortable interacting with crypto. Versus, you know, I think that's the mistake. And we made it early on in our journey. It's not like we've not done anything wrong. We made that mistake early on, where we just got really stuck in no man's land in Web 2.5, where retail don't quite know what this is, and then Web3 also don't quite know what this is either. And that's the worst place to be in. And I still see that quite a lot. From a UX front end perspective, you need to make your mind up real early on who you are building and designing this product for, because that actually is the hardest part. Back to my other statement, because you can switch on a UA tap, but you're just going to be wasting money, because they're going to see this thing and be like, well, what is this thing? They're not going to use it, and you've just wasted that that money. So our perhaps unfair advantage is UX, gamification, and distribution.
Yeah, and just to piggyback on that, joining the team early this year in 2025, and kind of learning from the guys, learning from all the experience they have in the consumer application space, the relentless focus on UX is really cool to see. And I've come from more of just like a traditional Web3 background, and so just seeing like how important it is for mobile first experiences, eliminating all of the roadblocks that we're pretty accustomed to in Web3, like signing up with a social account or email, and then also funding your account directly from your bank account, credit card, Coinbase, things like that. Making sure that all of that is built into anything we do is really cool to see. And I think it does ultimately help the Web3 native as well, makes it easier and friendlier for them. But yeah, that's one of the biggest learnings I had joining the team this year.
I'll spill the beans. I saw some screenshots. This product you're talking about, John, is amazing. So I can't wait to see when it's going to go live. Maybe I'm going to go to Declan. Those metrics are impressive from a ConsumerFi point of view. From ecosystem perspective, what does it mean to have a project like ConsumerFi launching through Calyx instead of independently?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, it goes back to what the purpose of Calyx is, right? It's ensuring that we are providing a frictionless experience, for users. So, we're providing this chain abstracted environment, right? And what that basically means is projects are able to accept capital from any chain. Tokens can be distributed to, their users, regardless of where that user's home network is. When you look at a project like ConsumerFi, that's got nearly 1 million users, that can become a very complicated task, if you don't have that mechanism in place. More importantly than that, the speed in which ConsumerFi are developing different things, they need the ability to ensure that liquidity can settle wherever it performs best, right? And that's ultimately what makes Calyx a good fit, but it's also why ConsumerFi is such a good fit for Calyx, because the focus from Calyx from the beginning has been to really hone in on projects that have a real product, that have real users, that have a long-term strategy. And again, this is also improving the user experience as well, because it moves the launchpad narrative away from this speculatively heavy approach where you see these massive jumps and then these crashes, to actually solid projects where people can get really excited about it, but there's actually long-term credibility and long-term gain as well. So I think the two things marry quite nicely together. Oh, you're on mute, Charlie.
Yeah, I think you simplified it in a great way. I think I can add something to this, which is in the last sale, we got people from over 10 different ecosystem based Arbitrum also participating in this. So we're trying to allow people to participate in sales without thinking about which ecosystem they're in or which wallet they're using. So this is great. Let me look at my questions. In terms of the ConsumerFi, the consumer graph, for people who are new to this concept, can you give a bit more of an explanation about it?
Absolutely. So for the consumer graph, I think it's important to just kind of explain like what a knowledge graph is. So a knowledge graph is a database, and its goal is to represent data in nodes and edges. Nodes are like entities, so people, products, locations, and then edges are the relationships between those entities. An example, maybe if you have a book, books have authors. And in that setting, the nodes would be books and authors. And then the relationship or the edge would be who wrote the book. But in terms of logic, a knowledge graph is about modeling how things connect in a more conceptual way. You're kind of asking like, how do these pieces of data relate to each other in the real world? And how can I represent that in a graph form? So once you have that, AI models are really good at traversing those graphs. They can navigate the relationships and provide like super context-rich responses. And knowledge graphs are nothing new. They've been around for a long time. They do a ton of valuable like utility for tons of different use cases, whether it's like PageRank on Google or detecting fraudulent activity in networks for banking and finance. But the upside here for users is really significant because you own that knowledge graph. It's yours, it's portable, it goes with you everywhere, and it's your own personal recommendation engine for your digital life. But if that's, I hope I maybe made that a little bit clear. I can expand on kind of what the inputs are or more information if needed.
I think it's clear from an overview point of view, but maybe if you have a concrete example of what a user can do today with the ConsumerFi, with the consumer graph, maybe on what they will be able to do tomorrow with this new product you've been talking about. I think this will give a better idea of people like to understand what they're going to utilize, and you running them through this, I think is going to help them better understand.
Yeah, so it's really about just bringing together all of the things you're already doing. So it's a pretty passive activity in terms of you're already transacting on chain, you're already posting online, you're already searching the web. Now you come to the ConsumerFi app and you just connect the accounts that you want to connect. You connect the things in your digital life that are relevant to you, that you care about, and that you want to use to help create more informed and enriched experiences in the future. That's really all it is. And then for more of the active element, there's opportunity for that as well. If you want to, you get the browser extension and drop in things online that are especially interesting or relevant to you. You can answer training questions. So we already have like over 4 million training questions answered. And that's just like your sentiment on daily things that are happening in the world, whether those are market activities or like just news events. But all of those things are building your profile and turning, just a bunch of scattered data points into what becomes intelligence when we plug that into Near AI.
Yeah, I'll add on, Charlie, in terms of then, so you've kind of got two layers to this, a B2B layer. So if I that's Myriad, for example, who just announced a partnership with. So the B2B use case for the protocol is, for someone like Myriad, we've got amazing prediction market platforms. We want to know how big prediction markets are, but it's a very simple idea is that there's a lot of great markets in there. Can we better serve the most relevant market to you, Charlie, based on what we already know you're interested in on chain, right? To try and get you using the platform, generating revenue retained. So at a simple B2B level, when we say it's a B2B SaaS product, context as a service, that's what we mean, right? It's providing contextual targeting to B2B clients. At a consumer level, with this new product that we're launching, this is where for us it starts to get interesting, and David talks about it sort of marrying Near AI with Near Intent. So what we mean there is this. So at an individual level, what we're building is, we've called it compute credits in this beta. We've been fascinated with FICO scores, Experian scores, and this concept of how might we bring that on chain, and back to our original thesis about everyone has value just in different ways, right? It's not just about finance. So what we've been playing with internally is how we keep this soft rewards currency, but how we actually formalize this on-chain credit score. And then specifically for you as a user, what that then unlocks, right? So I'm not necessarily talking about getting into sort of InfoFi territory per se. What I'm talking about is, for example, imagine if this score actually on-chain reflected like the APR you could get within a DeFi application, something real tangible, okay? Based on my value and contribution that is reflected in this, dynamic score, I'm actually now able to unlock better APRs in a DeFi app. And with our obsession over consumers, well, that's something they already understand, right? Because your FICO score, your Experian score directly correlates to, the loan or the mortgage or the financial product or service you're looking to. So that's what you're going to kind of see from us very soon, is marrying together the B2C products coming out of the protocol with a new DeFi app that joins those two together, where you'll directly be able to see the impact of everything you're doing in this score and how it correlates to the sort of DeFi benefits you're going to get in this new app that we're building.
And great. So yeah, please.
Yeah, just a quick one too. You're really sort of proving your intelligence through the things that you're doing every day online, and proving your expertise. And that can be pretty interesting as the world of microwork starts to change. We can see with public AI, people are doing different training activities, looking at different images and kind of picking things out. But as AI continues to advance and smaller models become more, purpose-driven, people that have unique expertise will become especially valuable. And you can use the consumer graph to showcase and prove your expertise based on everything that you've continued to do online for years and years. And so that expertise marker that the consumer graph enables, I think, will continue to be pretty impactful as AI evolves.
I think you guys hit the nail on this. Expertise is what's going to count from now on with AI, and what you're building is it allows companies AI to better understand who's an expert in what and how to leverage them. There's a company that's around ConsumerFi, which is PlayEmber. Can you explain a bit more about PlayEmber and how it connects with this ecosystem?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'll just go over what I explained at the start. That was kind of where the journey started. So just to keep it relatively simple, that's where we incubated this concept of just fairly rewarding consumers and retail for their time. We built both the new application layer and then a lot of the technology at the back end that I walked through earlier on to facilitate that. And then the protocol is the easiest way to explain it is then productizing a lot of that back end that was built, the multi-chain account system, Web3 analytics, etc., to service this gamified DeFi application layer. And then, obviously it's powering our own application layer, and it's going to power the new vertical consumer apps that we launched. But then we've started talking to, as I mentioned, like in Myriad as the latest example, we've started talking to other apps, agents, platforms about this as a SaaS product that they could also utilize. So that's the link between the two. And yeah, a few questions also to clarify. As we go on this journey, I mean, Sal's one of our investors. We've spoken about this a lot. Our job operating a business is to basically find the best path. And we hear this word PMF, right? Well, PMF is 900,000 retail customers that are earning but now actively saving crypto. To me, that kind of feels like PMF. So it's my job as a founder to try and find that and then navigate the business through that. So the investors and other people that have invested on that journey, there's no other change for me beyond we've now productized the the infrastructure layer that we've built. Originally, we had this vision that how we were going to do it was the same infrastructure layer, but a slightly different content layer around IP and a different type of games. And being honest, as I've spoken about before, it didn't work, right? But rather than sit here and sort of die by the sword and saying, well, that it doesn't matter because Web3 loves IP and games, we're going to keep going down that route, even though the audience are saying, no, we don't want that. And we found a much stickier and successful product that does that. That's the main adjustment. We've had to almost sort of rebrand it to something that, in my opinion, better now represents the potential value of an ecosystem like ConsumerFi, where we're building at the intersection now of AI, blockchain, DeFi, and then at the application layer, of course, gaming's still in there versus kind of where we started out. We were really like a Web3 gaming company. And I just didn't feel as we made this change with the product that, certainly the ticker that we were going to go to market with and the brand really sort of encapsulated and valued everything that we built. So PlayEmber is still a very, very key part of this. As David mentioned, we've had to evolve the team more as we've gone in this sort of DeFi AI direction as we found PMF. So the PlayEmber sort of core team are still there making games, but we've had to build some new sort of a new team around the protocol and some of the AI DeFi components that we've built.
Thank you for sharing again this background story. Maybe now I'm going to go to Sal. You've said that the sovereign model is designed to capture value both from Near's asset growth and AI adoption. How do you see that playing out in practice as an AI ecosystem matures?
Yeah, so there's the piece of this obviously on the Near side where like our success is very tightly wed to the success of Near protocol in terms of obviously adoption, but also utilization of the native network token, which over the past 6 to 8 weeks has been best expressed through Near Intents and the viral growth that we've seen on that side. I think it's almost 5 billion in volume now, and ramping to a place where I think probably by year end, if not in Q1, we see a day where we hit 1 billion in volume on Intents. But on the AI side of this, it's very much thinking about how we design our infrastructure business to monetize in native Near, where the infrastructure resources that we're delivering to power applications and experiences like those that ConsumerFi are delivering to market are monetized in Near as well. And so there's a bunch of work going on the DCML side to think about the tokenomics integration to actually compensate the effectively validators or node providers of those resource stacks. And you can think about it the same way you think about B2B validators and staking today, in that they're providing network security to Near protocol and being rewarded for that activity. In this context, we're providing an AI resource stack at the foundation of which are NVIDIA GPUs and their confidential compute architecture to power and provide the resources for these types of AI and agent experiences. So everything we're doing, both on the infrastructure side as well as on the treasury side, are all focused on Near accumulation at the core, but it's thinking a little bit more intentionally about building a real business model that is deeply aligned to the Near network economy and supports the proliferation of applications to make sure that when ConsumerFi hits not the 900K users that John's talking about today, but in 2 years from now, when it's 100 million users, or maybe even 500 million users, that the resources are there for them to scale.
That's great. This allows me to jump straight away to John and David. Now that ConsumerFi has launched, what is coming next in the 6 to 12 months?
Well, I mean, the most imminent thing we have coming up, of course, is our TG, and I think that's it's a very important event, but it's definitely not the end goal to kind of some of the numbers that Sal is posting up. So next up from us is this app, right? I think that's really, we're very, very excited about that for a few reasons. One, we have a lot of the fundamentals in place already that we've already built out on the kind of back end. Again, distribution, we already have an existing customer base that are asking for this thing. Where do I start kind of saving and earning kind of USDC type yield? So that we're very excited to get this product out there, and it also takes us into a new audience, because up until now, if you think about the sort of ads and information we're running, it has been based around games, whereas now we really are going after a sort of consumer finance audience, as well as clearly inviting in existing anyone in Web3 that's interested in kind of stable APR. It's also a product for them. It's not like it's exclusive for retail. So we're very excited about that. We also have a bunch of new partners at a B2B level, and the great thing about that is, every conversation opens up a new potential avenue or angle for things, or basically how they want to adapt the protocol. So there's a lot of new stuff coming there as well. But I think for us, it's more just not losing sight of our DNA. I think it's one of the hardest things in crypto. There's always something new and shiny, right? And trying to take you off target. But I think for us, it's just now getting this new product out, and just like we've got to where we are by following the data and looking at what that means, iterating the product. If it works, continuing. If it doesn't, stop and go again. The same with this new product, right? We'll release it hopefully next week. It is a beta product. It's by no means a finished product, but to put some extra color on the numbers that Sal's talking about, when we looked at the retail DeFi market in the US alone, you've got about like $9 trillion sat in easy access saving and checkings account, right? Coupled with I spent an unhealthy amount of time on TikTok. The number of people on TikTok flexing all of their scores and the amount that they're saving. But for me, the irony in all of this is what they don't realize is they're not saving, right? If you think I'm getting maybe 1-2% interest, where you take inflation off that, you take tax off of that, depending on where you're based. If you take out lost opportunity cost, they're actually losing money. So the reason we're really excited is we basically have the product. We're very, very good at user acquisition and gamification. They've already got the behavior we want, which is they're financially literate. They're already saving lots of money, right? Big red herring. Web2 have got lots of money. They're not poor. They've got a lot of money. They want to save money. They're flexing it. It's really about now perfecting the UX to basically say, stop saving in app A and deposit in app B and earn twice as fast. So I think in summary, we're very excited to get this out. And rather than, we're a small team, so we're not like, I think that's the other danger with Web3, you get pulled in all these different directions. So we're not planning on launching 100 more apps. I think for us in-house now, that's our next big focus, certainly for the next 3-6 months. But now at a B2B level, now we have this technology, it's more how we can also scale on the B2B side and let other partners build on top of or alongside the technology, the SDK, the APIs that we've been building out for the protocol.
Yeah, I think
Thank you so much.
John nailed it. But I guess for kind of what I'm super interested in is when we think of like personalized execution with near intents, you need to have the opportunities for that personalization to make sense. If we have a savings app, a safe and secure high yield savings app, well, what about the other user behaviors? What about people that are interested in more of the high risk exotic DeFi protocols? What are those things that we can help bring to users that are aligned with what they want to do, what their consumer graph is telling us they want to do, and make that possible for them? So all they need to worry about is depositing some capital and having, you know, everything they want to achieve in Web3 taken care of, and all of that's executed through near intents. And empower developers to, you know, take that burden as well, and use the ConsumerFi protocol to make those things come true.
That's fantastic. So it gives me time to remind everyone, if you want to be part of this journey with ConsumerFi and a user, we have the sale happening right now where you can participate in the ConsumerFi sale happening right now on Calyx, and it's still happening for the next 7 days. Maybe I can jump straight away with Declan. In terms of Calyx, I know, but you can share this with everyone. What's next in terms of either features, maybe project? How are we planning to grow?
Yeah, so I'm just thinking carefully, because normally you're the person who tells me off mentioning things that I shouldn't be ahead of time. Okay, so as I've kind of talked about, you know, over the past hour, the whole point of Calyx is really removing those barriers and making the network that you're coming from irrelevant. And we are doubling down in this direction. So you're going to be seeing some big strategic partnerships, you know, with networks over the next few months that will allow Calyx to expand, and not just as a place, you know, where projects can kind of pull users, but also a place where networks can pull projects. You know, and what this will hopefully provide is an environment where projects can freely deploy with any of the networks that's supporting them. You know, as is still the case in Web3, most projects that are at this stage are backed by a foundation, right? Either as an investor, as a grant, or some form of allocation. You know, and up until now, whilst that structure, of course, is super beneficial, it's also quite restrictive, because by definition, you then can't deploy and access the users in other places. So it's not just about bringing the users and abstracting that user experience. It's also about partnering with the very networks themselves and saying, hey, look, you're already supporting these projects. You want to grow, you want your projects to grow. We've built a technology here that will enable you to do that. Rather than seeing other networks or indeed Calyx as competition, see it as a partner. So I'd say that's by far the biggest thing you're going to be seeing, and we'll be doing some formal announcements once Charlie gives me the green light. You know, over the coming, I'd say probably 4 to 8 weeks. And then additionally to that, there is a product element that's being developed as well. Just seeing if Charlie's going to cut me off, you know, which is going to be a really cool engagement tool, you know, for users on Calyx itself. What I will say is there's already a leaderboard that exists on Calyx, you know, with points and prizes, and the product's going to be closely associated, you know, to that type of engagement.
So more users, more activities, more projects, more eyes on Calyx, and of course, in the end, more volume for near intents.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that one's a given, right? That's the beauty. You know, near intents isn't just most people up until now have seen near intents as primarily as a payment rail, but actually the payment rail is something that we see as a guardrail, in that this is your foundation, build on top of it. And Calyx is, you know, Calyx and indeed ConsumerFi are, you know, are two of the first genuine use cases of that. You know, that you're using it to drive genuine product development rather than just to execute a transaction from one environment to another. And ultimately, that's the reason why Near Intense has seen this meteoric increase in volume from 300 million a month ago to what are we at, 1.4 billion, for this month or something like that. So yeah, it's going to be a really interesting 8 to 12 weeks and a busy Christmas as well.
Amazing. Super excited to be part of this team. Maybe John or David, I have a question for you. As ConsumerFi is going to be successful in the next 2 years, what do you think? How does internet is going to feel like for an average person 2 years from now?
Yeah, John, if you want to go first, but I can follow up.
Yeah, I mean, so the way I've always thought about it is, I certainly think with the type of experiences we're all building, it's like for that generation that grew up and they didn't know life without a mobile phone, and then I didn't know life without maybe, depending on how old you are, like TikTok or Snapchat, right? And I think we're kind of in between generations where we know life without kind of Web3 and blockchain, and we also know life with it. But I think you've got a whole generation coming through now who are very interested in crypto and blockchain, but maybe they won't call it that in a few years' time, right? And I think that world is very, very interesting. I think we're on the right path now with certainly with stable coins, and interested to see. I think it's going to pass the Genius Act, but the next explosion that's going to give to kind of stable coins. But I think I saw it happen in the early days of mobile and consumer apps. People underestimated a certain generation and their propensity to take to this technology and understand it real quick. And I think we're going to see exactly the same in this huge spike and takeoff maybe in the next couple of years when it comes to, certainly in our territory, let's just call them consumer apps for now on crypto rails. I think you're going to see that next boom because things are starting to catch now where developers are understanding that UX and UI and distribution wins, right? I'm not dismissing all of the stuff that we're all doing on the back end. That's super important, and things like Near Intense help a lot to abstract that and make it easier than ever. But I think that's the acceleration I'm anticipating in the next 2 years with these kind of macro geopolitical trends that are all pointing towards mass regulation except of crypto. But the thing I think people are missing and underestimate is, when are retail coming and why don't they like the stuff that we are building? I think we're going to see that trigger, hopefully, through some of our applications, of course, but other great builders in this space. I've seen some examples where absolutely you put this in front of a consumer and they understand the immediate reason why they need this thing. So I don't know what the internet's going to look at in the next couple of years, but I've got no doubt that we're just in this choppy in between stage in consumer apps at the moment where we're trying to find out what that next thing is, right? A bit like when Uber Eats first came along and Deliveroo and Postmates, and people are like, oh, this now makes sense. I understand what this mobile app thing is. Get it, right? I can now get a taxi faster than ever. I can get food quicker, cheaper than ever. I think that thing will happen the next couple of years where these apps on crypto rails are just going to, take over the consumer landscape. And yeah, some of these conversations that we're having now hopefully will be redundant.
Yeah, and I think the internet becomes far more outcome-based. We're already seeing the agentic browsers be released. I think that's going to be the norm. I think expertise will become one of the most valuable resources that anyone can possess. So being able to express your specific expertise within any niche is going to be one of the most important and valuable things that you as a person or a consumer can do. I think that every single startup that reaches PMF using GPT APIs or Claude APIs or Google Gemini APIs, they will either be bought out or outright their startups will just be taken by OpenAI themselves. And so I think private AI hosting and owning your own compute is going to be extremely important for businesses that want to maintain a business and not just be succumbed by the compute providers that they're using. But I think those are kind of the main things that come to mind for me. I hope that crypto is used to make AI equitable and monetizable, and I hope that AI is in crypto to make Web3 easier.
Great. So near all the way.
Hell yeah.
I love this. Sal, I've been talking to many people in the community, Many of them want to know how they can learn more, participate, help, join discussion, Sovereign, and what you're doing. Can you share a bit about this?
Yeah, no, I'm happy to do that. And I think I very much echo David's comment on the end there. Like this, the reason that I'm here building Sovereign, the reason that Dave Schwed, our COO, effective co-founder, is here is because we see this technology as a way that we can realize these outcome-based, rich experiences at the intersection of crypto and AI in a world where we have sovereignty, we have economic freedom, and soon as well as a hot narrative, I think inspired by, in many ways, by Intense, we have privacy. For those that have been in the industry for a very long time, the cypherpunk roots were sovereignty and privacy, and it's really cool to see us coming back full circle to those things and now thinking about them in the context of AI as well, which Near has very much been the pioneer of. So on our side, svrn.net is the website. It'll be continuously iterated. You'll see new brand collateral go live towards the end of this year. We will have a live dashboard and metrics and full transparency and disclosure of our on-chain activities, our wallets, our presence. And then you will see us on the circuit more engaged in conference discussions, active in spaces like this, supporting founders and projects in the ecosystem. But beyond that, you can find me on X, my first name _ last name, and SVRN_AI. And we'll continuously be driving updates and content through those channels. So very much appreciate you having me, Charlie, John, and David, and Hugo as well. Huge congrats and a big thanks to Declan and the team for building a wonderful product that's really driven a success today that I can expect to continue over the next week.
Thanks, Sal.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Does everybody have 5 minutes just to answer a few questions?
Sure.
Absolutely.
Yes. Great. If we can pull up, someone from my team can help. Yeah. I think this question, how does Near Protocol AI and Intent work together to ensure data privacy and user control? And what steps are being taken to make sure that these technologies are accessible to a broader user base?
Yeah, I can probably take that. So look, Near AI and Intense are designed to work together, in a way that allows users to keep control of not only their data.
I'm just stopping you 1 second. Sal had to drop. Thank you for joining. Please follow his Twitter, follow Sovereign AI Twitter, and keep posted. And let's all support what Sovereign is doing, and let's all push, because we are a whole ecosystem. We all need to be successful together. That's it. Sorry. Please go ahead, Declan. Sorry for.
No worries. Let me just reread the question. Okay, so how do Near protocols AI and Intense work together to ensure data privacy? Yeah. So essentially, they're designed to work together, and ultimately, it's about ensuring that users have full control of their actions, but also their data. So Near AI processes your sensitive information inside a TE, a trusted execution environment, so that the user's data never needs to be exposed publicly. Now, the agents, whether it's ConsumerFi or anybody else for that matter, can only interact and act according to the permissions that the user gives. And what Near Intense basically does is it takes those approved actions and executes them. That's it. So, think of it as an outcome-based transaction. I don't know if this is unique to the UK, but I'll try and give a good metaphor. You go to a pharmacy, right? And it's one of the pharmacies that's open quite late. You can't go inside. All you have is a prescription that you've had pre-approved. There's a little hole in the window. You hand that in, and all you get out is that particular thing that is on the slip. Nothing else is visible. Nothing else is accessible. And that's essentially how Near AI and Intense kind of work together to ensure, that users have not only privacy but control over how their data is presented and used.
That's pretty awesome. I'm a Near Intent maximalist and a TE maximalist. So seeing those two elements in one ecosystem is amazing. Maybe we can go with a question for. I see we have some question from ConsumerFi, more on the sale and what you've been doing. How does ConsumerFi plan to improve the interaction with new users, with users outside of crypto? What strengths that enables you to look into the future with hope?
Yeah, so it's a good question. I think some of the things I mentioned before, I think we've got a lot of just knowledge that we can apply to future app releases now, in terms of we kind of know the things that get retail users interesting in products on crypto rails, right? Sometimes it is being crypto front and center, right? You don't hide that, because there are a lot of retail that are very interested in crypto, and it just fast tracks them into the product. Sometimes the worst thing you can do is actually hide crypto, because they come in, they think it's an app, and they're like, whoa, what's this crypto thing? And they really don't like that. So we have a lot of just things that we now know that work to get people in for kind of consumer crypto related products. I think the key bit in this question, which is really important, is acquiring users is a skill in itself, but retaining them is the real art. And I think that's where our expertise in gamification comes in, and we're going to be using this in our new DeFi product, right? Because getting just someone in to maybe just save some money is not an easy thing to do in its own right, given the sort of competitive landscape. But trying to build some sort of gamified layer, that little bit of dopamine in there is really important. So I think again, if you look at the sort of retention in these kind of like DeFi games that we have already, we ran a paid campaign with Coinbase, for example, where we saw like a 3% conversion rate of people actually creating a Coinbase account and depositing in that, right? Which is very, very high for like in Web3 terms, as an example. And that just shows you also our sort of proven ability to acquire users, retain users, but now also start moving around different products and services, because that's when it starts to get very interesting. So I think we will just continue to draw on all those experiences, and we're not afraid to try new things as well, because that's also how you figure out new products and services. But yeah, I think we'll be drawing on a lot of things that have got us to nearly these kind of million users, to see if we can make that next step up, as Sal was saying, to kind of 5, 10 and beyond.
Thank you so much. I think we have one last question from our dear Anton. He comes from the Aurora and Calyx community. He's been asking some amazing questions for forever since I've joined the company. So congrats ConsumerFi on already reaching the funding target. Can you explain this rapid success? Are investors bullish on your intelligence patterns or ownership of your own Web3 data?
Yeah, so I mean, the kind of transition in our business has been an interesting one. This sort of pivot to ConsumerFi, actually, I have a couple of our investors to thank a lot for this, because they have access to a lot of kind of trend data, etc., and they started to look at what we were building, and they were the ones suggesting there's probably actually potentially two businesses in here, right? The infrastructure layer that you could productize in its own right, that I'm pretty sure other people outside of your own apps and games will be interested in. And that they were just seeing our investor updates in the report, and that's where the inspiration for this new app came from, because they're looking at this data and they were showing us some sort of Web3 apps in this space, and basically said, guys, why on earth are you not building this? Because it's already there in the games. You just need to take it out and reframe the UX. So yeah, we have some of our investors to thank that have been on this journey for us, some of them for like 4 or 5 years now. So I think the things that they are now excited about as investors in the company is, obviously we have a TG coming up. So what they're interested in seeing next is some of the things that we've been talking about, right? How does the protocol, grow? And some of the things we're talking about, we've got some, great things coming up with near intent and near AI. So how are those going to kind of play out? They're very interested to see this new app's performance as well. They're quite excited about that. But likewise, there's also some other investors that, like any company, it's not that they're not bullish. It's just we're having to educate them, because we have changed a lot as a company, and I'm not afraid to also talk about that, right? We started off in consumer apps, specifically gaming, but 4.5 years later, we've now found PMF in this very interesting area. Still true to our first thesis around finding a fair way to reward users, finding fair economic access to crypto for users, but just in a very different way than we first started out. You can probably ask us that question in after TGE on the bullishness side of things. But from my side, very grateful. Like Sal was here; he's one of our first investors. Very grateful to have people like that have been on this amazing journey with us over the past 4 or 5 years.
Thank you so much, John. I think we can wrap this up. The NEAR community loves and appreciates you. This is something I've been seeing in the NEAR community. People are extremely excited with what you're doing. Many have joined the sale, and I hope we're going to see even more people joining the sale. The sale is still happening. Calyx.xyz. You can find under ConsumerFi the landing page where you can participate with the wallet of your choice, with the asset of your choice. So please join. I think the next step in terms of where people can hear more about ConsumerFi is, David, you're talking in a few hours in what did you ship live on X, where you're going to go a bit more deeper in the technical aspect. So if people want to learn more about this, please join what did you ship. I think this is going to be extremely interesting. John, people can follow you on Twitter. You've been having amazing takes. I saw your take on the farmers and what Hasib was saying, etc. I think it's extremely interesting to see in the eyes of a founder like you, who's been working with actual user for many years. What does it mean to talk to user, acquire user, and retain them? And Declan, please stay yourself. You're great. No, please make sure to follow us on Calyx. Please share your feedback on the user experience you're having with Calyx on the platform. If you have ideas, if you're founders, reach out to us. If you're small, medium, big founders, we're here to help. We're here to guide you. We'll be happy to connect you with other people to tell you. To help you on the marketing, to help you on whatever. We're here to grow the ecosystem, so please send us some DMs. Anything to add, guys?
Yeah, just say, look, launchpads are difficult, even at the best of times. There's always something that needs to be solved, but something that makes it much easier is having projects that work proactively with us. So I want to take the opportunity to say thanks to you, John, and yourself, David. Obviously, John, we've had quite a few conversations. It really does make things much easier, and it also is a great way to kind of see just how much founders care about the projects that they're driving. So yeah, that's what I wanted to end with, and I think, Charlie, you summarized everything in general perfectly.
Yeah, really appreciate the opportunity to just have a very open conversation like this, and to both of you and the team support at Calyx and Aurora and NEAR as well for just all their ongoing support, and just excited for the next few weeks and to get this new product out and just keep building. So thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. We're going to wrap up. Join the sale. It's happening on Calyx.xyz. On the landing page of ConsumerFi. Connect with your favorite wallet. Give it a try. To try the experience. It's completely different with what you've been experiencing in the past, specifically with on-chain launches. So give it a try, test it out. Let us know what you think about it, and see you guys around. Thanks.
Bye, guys.